And ahoy, everyone. Hello.
Ahoy, me buckos.
Callum, I found a new sentence to start the episodes with, and it's very universal. It's not good morning anymore, right? It's very flexible.
Indeed. Yeah, there's no need for good mornings when you're a pirate.
And we have one pirate with us today, at least one pirate today with us. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. I toyed the idea of staying in pirate character for the whole, but I'm not gonna. I won't subject everyone to that. I just thought I should let everyone know that I can do it. That's
So, but we discussed quickly before going live that it might be one of these special episodes that might stay with longer with not only umbraCoffee but generally within the community. And of course, we'll tell more about the context and how you've celebrated this one this year within the team. But yeah, of course, Jason, you're in the pirate character, and you will stay at least until the end of the episode. how it is to be a pirate within the community these days?
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. I don't think it's. I mean, being a pirate, it's a long story as to why. I used to wear a bandana when I was much younger. And just all the time because teenagers do weird things. And one time my girlfriend at the time's grandma said that, does he always dress like a pirate? And from then I've just kind of owned that pirate persona.
You say when you were much younger, Jason. I saw a picture the other day of, I think, the 2015 or 2016 UK festival, and the Flickr album, the cover photo is you in a bandana.
That's true. That's longer ago than you think, though. Now, isn't it?
It is a long time ago.
And time flies. We all know that. Years are just disappearing, but that's really good. And again, within the community, we have a lot of pirates, a lot of hackers, a lot of good activity as usual. We can go through the Umbraco news and then see your challenges and your accomplishments from not only this week but prior to that. Let's start from Rune's blog post and of course the product update from today. Very hot and very fresh product update, and it highlights a lot of good things, starting from the new releases, of course, and the ones that we've already discussed in the past umbraCoffees, but also some new ones. And one of these is the Dynamics 365 detailed explanation of the integration here. And I kind of like it. I think we are really going towards this DXP composable integrations parts, and a lot of other tools are just knocking out doors. And this one was mentioned a lot during the discussions with the clients and projects. So I'm really happy seeing it.
We had a conversation recently, and up until now it's been a custom integration where you've got to build a workflow or something and have some horrible mapping of fields to Dynamics 365 properties. It's not great. But yeah, this is a really, really, really nice addition. And the fact that it's not just for V10, not just for latest, like Umbraco is actually investing in making this work for Umbraco 8.2, which is really, really cool. I was going to say one thing on this one. I know we've got a blog post a little bit later, but with all of these, I've said this before too, with all of these kind of integrations that are being created, we really, really now need a way of handling auth better in the CMS. Because Dynamics is a perfect example of somewhere where you would like kind of per user, maybe permissions for what that back office user can do with Dynamics, not just like, global admin or anything, or over an API. So I really, really look forward to seeing where we can push that. I know Andy Butland and a couple others have been having a chat about how we can do something there. I think this just really, really starts to exemplify why we need something. So,
That's definitely needed, but it's another step towards really getting us closer to there. And I quickly checked also the code, and I wanted to mention it publicly. It's another open source implementation, so still up for extending and up for reusing across more tailored and maybe more bespoke usage of Dynamics. But it covers basics and some of the context already. So yeah, definitely worth checking how it's done.
I've just noticed this. So the CMS integrations repo is for all integrations. It's not one repo per. Okay, interesting approach. I would have thought there would be like a plugin per a repo per plugin.
I need to check how it's distributed, because probably that's just a container for these two. But of course we can use the separation of concerns. But testability of it is definitely easier for Umbraco here, and yeah, it looks really good, and more to come. Definitely more to come. Another good information from the release is, of course, Umbraco 10.2 release that was tested, and it was in the release candidate mode recently. But there is more release candidates here now. Deploy some new release candidate versions, and some patches from this week as well. So for Umbraco Forms and some CMS versions too. One is fixing this nuisance of JSON dependency issue we were talking about as well.
I had a patching day earlier this week, and it was very straightforward. But I did come across an interesting issue, which I'd be interested if anyone else finds when they do their patching. So we went from 10.0 something to 10.2 latest, and on first load, the back office tree is empty, and I was like, oh no, I've lost all my content. And then I restarted the app, and it comes back, and it's all there. And I was able to reproduce this several times, and someone else on GitHub said the same, but apparently Sebastian said he couldn't replicate it on a clean install. So maybe if anyone else sees this, they could have a little look. I don't know where the bug is, if it's in. Yeah, we went from 10.01 I think to 10.2.0. If you go from 10.1 to 10.2, I don't know what that would do. But let me know. Let me know, please.
And collaboratively reported correctly, and all the findings to Sebastian and the team. I didn't upgrade yet, so definitely we need to check and solve these issues before everyone will start updating.
By saying that, Marcin, to our massive platform, you are exposing yourself for to be hacked, basically. All of Marcin's sites aren't patched. You can go hack him.
Yeah, I will provide you a list of these which ones are patched, just in case, to make your life easier, pirates and hackers. Updates to roadmap are really cool to mention, because we have new element in now, which is a blog-based grid editor for Umbraco CMS, and that's huge. That was mentioned a lot, but the target release is this October, so that's even closer than we anticipated now. Right?
Indeed, we'll have a release candidate for that in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so.
And of course, some of the elements moved to the roadmap history. But another thing worth mentioning through the release is recordings from Code Garden Day 1. They're all online and on YouTube now. So we can go there and check it out and rewatch or watch some of the sessions from the day 1. So that's really good. And they're all there.
Even the Ask Speaker sessions, so there's the Q&As after, as they're all separate videos.
That's cool. So that's product update. Check it out in the details, and of course there are some other reference blog posts that are coming in relation of the content there. Another one that was from this week was about the Headless Community team that I have a proud of being part of, and it was yet another community team collected around the Umbraco ecosystem, this time around Headless. And it has a lot of great people selected there, and even one bonus person. Maybe I am a bonus person, but Morten said that he couldn't pick 10; he picked 11 people from the submission. But there's a lot of great people, of course, people who were talking headless a lot, like Emmanuel, for example, and a lot of people from outside of even direct Umbraco community who were doing headless, being business oriented around headless, and have a lot of good stuff and good input, hopefully, in the future of headless. Some people experienced with building headless before. It was cool too. I'm really looking forward to be part of this team, and it's just yeah, I will see how the teams are working from the inside as well. So that's
so
really,
this
really
is, as far as I know, this is similar to the CMS team in that it's more like advisory on where the direction Umbraco goes. You're not doing any necessarily product work. Is that the case?
Yep. Yes, that's the case, and it was said like it's more like a sounding board, and of course the discussion panel about the concepts. There is a lot of people who are using or were using headless from other systems than Umbraco, so it's also a good opportunity to bring some good things to Umbraco's knowledge at least, or maybe implementation too, but then also confront the ideas and be able to make us all life better, CMS wise, hardcore wise, and headless wise in general. So that's really interesting, and that's good to see.
Awesome.
Next one on the list is also from Umbraco blog, and this is the details
about Dynamics 365.
Yes.
Which this summarizes basically what we've said. It's a package, you can install it, it integrates with forms, and this is the sort of connections thing I was saying about. You're really cool to have that unified manage somewhere. But in conclusion, it's out. Go use it.
Yep. Definitely. And then releases, starting from Yuiomatic 5.1 release.
And 5.0 this too, actually. So this is Patrick Demoy's been really pushing to have Yuiomatic working for Umbraco 10, and now it does, thanks to a couple of community PRs, and managed to get another release out within days as well. So that's really cool to see. I know a few people were quite excited. And it's good to have a bit of competition. I know that Construct, of course, exists and is Fluent API, and it's a different way of doing things and has different concepts. Like it's not just for building, CRUD integrations. It's for building like lists and previews, and you can do some quite complex stuff. But people like the different approaches. So. It's good to have.
I'm a huge fan of Yuiomatic. I used it a lot in the past, and I haven't been using it for a while. And it's good to see that community is picking it up and helping team and general the project to be still up and running. So that's really exciting and worth celebrating. So yeah, kudos to Patrick and the team for releasing it. The next one is another version. It's a fixed segment now. Every week probably we have a small incremental release of Skybus Umbraco Redirects package, but this is the new release for Umbraco 10. What is changed? JavaScript events to redirect overlay and some radio group HTML updates with some new directive to use the Umbraco radio button directive. Nice one. Also worth upgrading, and this one is a new one to be mentioned. Is Limbo 23 video picker for Umbraco 10.
I had never heard of 23 until I saw this. It's a kind of video.
I heard, but I haven't used it. But it seems like maybe more than maybe bigger than anticipated video platform provider. Of course, same as YouTube, for example, and they have their own embed codes, own platform. But what I wanted to mention is like how the speaker looks. I would love to see even something like this for other providers, YouTube and different things. It's just so flexible, so well built, and of course it looks like a native. So maybe a good inspiration for some embedded extension for Umbraco in the future, right?
So I didn't know this. We got some trivia in the chat. Seb saying that Umbraco TV all used to run on 23, and Lars saying that they also used to, they still do resell them as a service to their customers, and they are based somewhere near HQ. So very cool. Did not know that.
We all learn on the way. So yeah, that's a good package and really looks really good implemented. And then we can switch. That's about releases. You've released something, Pirates. So tell us more about it.
I'll let Jason take this.
Jason.
So I had to scroll back through our internal Slack to work out how this came to be. But it stemmed from, I think, after Code Garden, we were talking about how everyone pronounces our differently. So it can be our or our Umbraco, and obviously both of those like homonyms. So our means multiple things. Our can mean more than one thing depending on the context. And off the back of that, we sort of thought, wouldn't it be funny to take my kind of piratey chops to the our website and Yeah, make it more piratey for International Talk Like a Pirate Day, which is on Monday. But certainly here in the UK, that's
it got a bit hijacked, didn't it? So I said we plan this. We don't plan things like especially these sorts of it'd be funny if. It's an idea that gets thrown about, and then you don't think much of it until the time comes around. You go, oh no, we should have done something. But the card on our board got created on the 21st of June, and this idea has been sort of brewing away since then. And then we plan to launch it Monday, International Pirate Day, which got hijacked last week. And now we've decided it would be more appropriate if we, instead of announcing it Monday, we just let it run for a whole week instead. We have officially, as the footer says, it's an act of piracy. For International Pirate Day by us. So we've stolen our website. But
a lot of Easter eggs. That's what's to be said, right?
So many. I mean, even Jason's done such an amazing job here with the graphics. There's of course the Our logo up the top there. Now we converted to a skull and crossbones. The background has got, it's like a treasure map, but we've got is there some unicorns? There's an upside down car. Like there's all kinds of things.
There's a unicorn mermaid, which is I found that's shoved in there, and some other little bits of
treasure map. Your documentation, the packages. One of my personal favorites. If you go to the packages page, Mark, we've got YeSync, which is really cool, and the way it reads, it's like so ye source control. So you source control, copy and move your Umbraco site betwixt computers and servers. Oh my goodness. Kevin Jump's name's been changed to Kevin Jump Off the Plank, like all these sorts of things. Contentment is now called Ye Be Content. Like it's like, it's just
we had a bit of a hacking. We had a bit of a sort of a session yesterday afternoon, sort of renaming the Umbraco community very quickly, didn't we? All the MVPs have been renamed, and so it's open source. So if people want to add their own names or want to make it a bit more piratey, then it's open for contributions and PRs and stuff.
We don't want to spoil too much about what's in here, but there's some golden ones, really golden ones, like Looty Pitcher instead of Lottie Pitcher. The one I came up with, I think. It's just a bit of fun. But actually,
I must say, guys, we know how hard it is to name things, and how hard it is to name things in the pirate way.
We had a spreadsheet. Of 75 different names, and yesterday 3 of us sat there trying to come up with pirate puns for different people's names. Lars has found his. Well done, Lars. There's some good ones in there. There's some really good ones in there, and it's made more difficult because some people don't use their real name on our Umbraco. Some people just use their first name, for example, and so we wanted to make sure we were, customizing certain people's profiles and whatever. It's all a bit of fun.
That's really nice. But and again, it's a fully featured project and product work, right? You've also open sourced. So
yes.
Tell us more about this, Jason.
Well, it's we looked into sort of, when we first started talking about it, we looked at kind of ways that we might implement it, and I found that my instinct was kind of to throw something dodgy together in .NET, which I started doing and abandoned. We've got a dead repo somewhere with it, sort of some dodgy reverse proxy code that wasn't very efficient, and it was okay. You could kind of rewrite the page and stuff, but it was pretty horrible code and didn't perform very well. So then Callum put me on to YARP, which is the Yet Another Reverse Proxy, which is a super efficient streaming proxy that runs inside ASP.NET, which is really cool. I think we talked about it on umbraCoffee before.
Yeah, they're running all of the Azure Web Apps infrastructure, all the routing layer on that now. Yeah. It's hyper efficient.
So we've got that sat in a little Linux web app, and basically all it's doing is just reverse proxying. And I think all it's now doing is adding an error page. It was serving some static assets before, but I've got rid of that. Oh yes, robots.txt.
Robots.txt.
It was serving some static assets, but we nixed that in lieu of putting all that stuff in Cloudflare workers, which is what's actually doing all the piratey stuff. Yep. And that's inside source and boson. Yeah, you got it. And that is it's JavaScript It's a slightly interesting flavor of JavaScript, although this has been written in TypeScript partly so that I could work out what their API is actually doing. The documentation around workers is, I think, still somewhat a work in progress. And Cloudflare are due to open source it at some point, which should make it a lot easier as well. But this is just kind of cobbled together from their docs, based on taking a request, intercepting it, and transforming it. The interesting thing about how Cloudflare workers do that is it's done midstream. So we're actually transforming text and modifying bits on the page as it's being streamed from our YARP reverse proxy to the client, to the browser, well, or to the Cloudflare cache, actually.
Yes.
So it's been an interesting kind of experiment to see how that works and how Cloudflare have made that work, because they've put some really interesting technology into doing that and chunking up response streams so that you can sort of modify them as HTML, but there's not like a DOM in there or anything like that in the same way that we'd normally have to modify content. So it's posed some sort of interesting challenges as to how we sort of prioritize the site, but we've got it. I think it works pretty good. It's basically just kind of string replacement ultimately at the end of the day with a few.
So there's as far as I know, there's 2 or 3 dictionaries in the source there. One that's our kind of specific community names, and then you manage to pull some pirate dictionary off the internet that's doing a lot of the kind of basic translations. So you know, the becomes the and whatever else. Like, exactly. And I saw earlier. It did quite a funny one. Rachel Breeze, I think, tweeted something. Maybe it's still there. I don't know. Rachel Breeze tweeted something about people, and it replaced that with sea dogs or something. And it's like that. In that context, it didn't make any sense. But it's you know, it's still in most cases very funny. The code of conduct makes a really interesting read.
Yeah, it does.
On our, because they've replaced everything. It's very good. But I think this shows actually the power that a relatively little amount of JavaScript. There's the 2 files at the root there, which are responsible for our replacement and our sort of the workers routing to our proxy, and then all the replacements are just one massive dictionary. And I had a little look in Cloudflare earlier today. It's processing every request. It's kind of doing that in, it says it takes 1.5 milliseconds of CPU time for every single request. So it's not adding huge overhead or weight. And then that output gets cached on the Cloudflare server. So we're not doing that work every single time. So realistically, we've got a very low-powered YARP app running in Linux in Azure that's proxying our Umbraco, because we need to add the host name that we want in order for it to resolve. And we couldn't do that to our. If we were able to do that, we could remove that YARP bit entirely and do all of this in Cloudflare.
Yeah.
But that's also was something what I wanted to mention is like it should open up the minds of ours approaches on security and general websites, how it can be all fake sometimes, right? We hear about it, all of the issues with people pretending to be our banking accounts and things like that. It's like that's the huge kind of powers exposed. Of course, still we are maybe more close to that because we are more technical than other people, and we know that something like this can happen. But it's always worth, and that's also something what I always share with my family, for example, is like, be aware. The website might look like your website, but it's not your website anymore, right? Even same with the email, same with the SMS messages and things like that. That's worth mentioning. Definitely.
And I think that's the interesting, because we've turned off post requests and a few other things.
I was just going to say,
stop that.
This is completely open source. We're not doing anything fishy. You can see even the GitHub actions that are publishing this. And there's code in there that's explicitly saying anything that's not a GET request, basically.
Be done. I think it returns a response of a vast G-scurvy cur, actually.
Yeah, it does.
But that's an interesting point, because all that we're doing is we're hooking into what Cloudflare can do, because Cloudflare is a reverse proxy, right? So all of our requests, if they're going through Cloudflare, passwords are going through Cloudflare. And so all that Workers is letting us do is put something in the middle there. And, it's just that kind of thing of, well, whoever owns the DNS owns the site. That's how it works. So it's been quite interesting from that point of view. So, but we've turned it off. But it does all work. We had it all turned on, and because obviously Cloudflare just works normally. All we've got is
they don't know really anything about the data that you're sending it.
No. No.
So yeah, are you looking for any contributions then? If it's open source,
yeah. If you've got any piratey words or phrases,
like your name, Marcin. Do you know what your name is?
No, I didn't get it there yet.
Go and find your profile. Yeah, but if people don't like their names, go for it. Go contribute. If you can think up some other piratey terms, let's get those added in.
We did have an initial draft with some of the names that were a bit perhaps on the darker side of piratey, shall we say? So we've tried to make it a bit more friendly.
Yeah.
A bit more.
So you're ethical pirates.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've been very open by the fact that we've pirated this and
ethical, friendly pirates.
But didn't ask for permission, but that wouldn't be in the spirit of piracy. Yeah. So I think this is as ethical as we could be. The names are friendly enough. If anyone's offended, please make a PR, change your name. Carl's asking, can you run it locally? No, you cannot, because Cloudflare Workers does not let you run like a simulation locally. You have to deploy it to Cloudflare, which is a shame. Like Azure, I was talking to Jason the other day, saying actually the kind of CLI is very similar to, say, Azure Functions, and it works really nicely, except there they spin up the whole environment for you. And here they just send it off to the cloud. So maybe
when you run the CLI, there is a local option, but actually I couldn't get it to work. So I kind of gave up. But yeah, it's tricky. What I was going to say, because there is there's a serious use case for this, obviously, and they're kind of in the documentation. What Cloudflare are trying to get at is you could run your personalization and all of your non-static changes to a page in Cloudflare Workers. So if you need to call off to APIs, even do localization, which is kind of what this is getting at, they kind of add those to their use cases. So actually, there's some really, making a piratey version of Azure is perhaps the least inspired thing that that we could do with it, but it is good fun.
I think important is that this is all done on the Cloudflare layer and on and cached, etc. Because the same is done by, for example, Google Optimize when it comes to A/B testing and personalization done on JavaScript level. But here it's even earlier, right? So this is kind of another layer of the communication between the protocols and between the sender and receiver, and that's impressive.
And you can totally do that. You can totally call those APIs from inside of the Cloudflare Workers. We're not calling any, but you totally can.
Again, after we've ran this for a week or so, I'll put up a tweet or something with a kind of cost breakdown of how much all this is costing. The reality is we're running it on a paid Cloudflare plan, but we don't envisage this costing really anything. Actually, it's like pennies we're talking, not anything like that. For free, I believe, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, they give you 30 milliseconds of processing time, which, if this was the case, you could technically, at the edge, 10 milliseconds.
10.
Okay.
But we're fine still with this.
We're way more than fine, yeah. But we could technically call off to an API as part of that. And if you async everything, then you're not waiting for any of those, you're not paying for that wait time either. So actually, you could do some quite clever things at the edge here, calling off to storage. Cloudflare's now got all kinds of storage services too that you can use. We're using a couple of them here as well.
I think the main reason why we're having to pay for it, why we haven't used the paid plan at all, is because we're proxying everything through the workers, because we need to be able to replace things like CSS files and images and that kind of thing, which obviously in a real world site you probably wouldn't bother doing. But we want a piratey logo, so we do need to check every request. If you're not doing that, actually, it's really cheap for what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So a very, very nice way of first of all making fun at work, exploring the potential dangerous and ways of using things for our own purposes, and still sharing it with the open source world, so that's everyone can check how it's done. So that's
we were joking yesterday. Maybe we need to do a Halloween one. Umbraco.
Maybe someone else will contribute with the Halloween, PR.
It's all open source, and actually the underlying Azure web app that's running the proxy is just a proxy. None of the modifications there, so it's all in the Cloudflare layer. Someone wanted to make a fork of this and set up the relevant
Halloween version,
styles and everything. Go for it. Cool.
Maybe you'll gather more ideas from community on the future tools, but this is impressive input and starting point.
Please send us a PR.
Yeah, send us PR. Cool. Speaking about tours, we can start mentioning the one that we've been talking about, and Callum, you mentioned it already on the previous umbraCoffees, but now it's also detailed in the blog post written by Emma on Umbraco blog. It's Umbracians on Tour, Next Stop USA. So do you want to recap again what is happening?
Yes.
What is going on there?
I can do. There's a few things that aren't mentioned in here that I can mention as well. So yes, we're going to the US next weekend, Minneapolis on the 25th. 25th to 27th. We're doing a meetup where I'm going to be talking about running Umbraco anywhere. This idea that you could have, because you've now got SQLite and it's cross-platform, I could run it on a fridge if I wanted to, or my watch or whatever. And I've got a couple of cool examples. One where Umbraco is working in Xamarin, one where it's working like on an Apple Watch, one where it's working in a Maui desktop app, like running natively embedded in the app. Not that you'd necessarily want to do that, but it's a bit of fun. And so, yeah, I'll be talking about that there. And then we have Charlotte. We'll be hosting a hackathon in Charlotte. There's going to be some training too. So if you're flying in the day before and like to hang out, come along to the hackathon. We'll have some food and just some general fun, I think. US Summit, of course, on the 29th. Tickets are still on sale, I think, but not for much longer. So go get your tickets. And then on the 3rd of October, which is not mentioned in here, we'll be at the NYC Azure user group doing a talk again about Umbraco and Azure. And then on the 4th, we have the New York Umbraco meetup, which hasn't been promoted yet, but will follow a similar format to the Minneapolis one. And then there may be a .NET meetup somewhere in there too. Maybe a hackathon. Don't know just yet. Still working a couple of things out. So yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, and the whole tour, and of course, some of those events are covered on the .com, hopefully for bigger reach as well, and everyone can sign up and basically spread the word. We've mentioned it a while ago that whoever knows anyone in the area, probably that's one of the not that often opportunities since the recent times to join on this side of the world, and as a lot of good people will be there already, it'll be good to really make something out of it. And we've mentioned the Oktoberfest. You've mentioned Oktoberfest. That's another great opportunity to hack, build, and maybe build something else together. Right?
I think sign-ups open next weekend for that. I think 25th or something, September. Yeah. Not that just you can register 5 days ahead, I think, and then get hacking.
Nice. So yeah, that's this one. The next ones are also another opportunities on this side of the globe. There's an Edinburgh Umbraco user meetup group back in person on October 19th. There is some updates and information for everyone who wants to attend in Edinburgh. The next one is the Kent Umbraco meetup the day after. And the next one after that is the one that we've mentioned already. It's at the same day. It's the Swedish community Umbraco meetup with Bjarke and discussion about the CMS. So that's the meetups, and there is also a DK festival. Very soon. Again, the time flies. Time flies.
24th of November. The reason I was wanting to highlight this is you have a week left on the call for papers, which is very difficult to find. Firstly, if you don't speak Danish, because it's just a Google Forms link somewhere in the page. But yes, we'll put a link down below for that as well. If you'd like to apply to speak, go submit your topics and your ideas. If you don't want to speak, they've got a form you can fill out just to say what you might like to see at that event too. And you can go see the talks from last year on the Umbraco dkfest.dk URL, which will be down below too.
Yeah. And that's all about events and some blogs and some recordings from this week, starting from Corne and his blog about how to create and run migrations in Umbraco V10 Plus. And I've been diving into migrations recently a lot. What's your experience, guys, with migrations? Do you use them often, everywhere?
I had to create a migration in V7 the other day.
Yeah,
and it was painful, really painful.
Yep.
And then I did it in V8, and it was much smoother. And in V10, I believe it follows a similar pattern of you have the migrator and the migration base, and you kind of define what your logic is, and then you can run them. think it makes a lot of sense. I have not done it for anything yet other than creating SQL tables or modifying SQL tables. I've not used them for, say, making content changes or creating a node or something like that. But the example that Corney's got here is a really nice one, really nice application. And I don't know if it's mentioned in this post, but there's also package migrations, which is this kind of other thing that gives you a button in the back office, so you can hit install and it will upgrade to that state.
Very cool.
I haven't been checking the V10 migrations implementations too yet. That's why I'm grateful for Corney to sharing this blog post. But always, what interests me the most is, like, you can migrate up, but what about going down with these things? That's always something and that's also something what you referred to in the old world of Umbraco. There was 2 methods, up and down, in the migrations, and now it seems like there are more ways. And of course, still you can migrate both ways, and we should prepare.
I wonder if people ever really test that downgrade method.
I did.
We're never going to need this until you really need it.
Yes, exactly. And you never know. That's exactly the case. But I often found recently in a lot of scenarios with, let's say, business critical updates, you need to prepare yourself for going backwards if you fail in something. And this is exactly the good exercise for migrations, in my opinion, at least, because then, okay, always we are assuming the happy path. But what if, right? And then we can have some, for example, retry methods or something like that, and then you need to go back and restore a backup, like Carl, for example, said. But yeah, still there might be a way, the code way, and if there is a way, we can trigger that. But that's good to open the discussions. I'm happy to see and explore more about this, because it looks clearer, definitely, and that's the beauty of the new core powers. And yeah, .NET itself. Another 3 videos from Paul to highlight this. The Paul is on fire. So that's that's part 11, block list FAQ accordion, part 12 with quote blog, and part 13 with bootstrap carousel. So,
did you see how that second video, which has only been up, I think, 3 days?
No, yeah.
2 days. Has 112 views already, which is awesome.
Yep.
It's really awesome. And these videos, I was going to say the word just is unfair. These videos are showing basically the setup of the block list in various different contexts.
Yes.
So like a page builder type UI. And I think that's a really nice way of breaking it down. So Paul, I think, has released about 5 or 6 block list videos in a row now, but each one is for a very specific case, using it to create a quote or using it to create like an image gallery or something like that. So
and also he highlights a lot of packages like Contentment, for example, in this one. I can't remember which one. So it's
you be contented.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool. And Paul tried to be sneaky and sneak a video out just before umbraCoffee, but we caught it.
Yeah. Callum,
actually, it was there last night because I prepared the notes last night. So Paul uploaded it yesterday, I think, and then
yeah. Still, definitely worth checking, and yeah, the numbers are really, really high. And I wanted to appreciate the work, because all of these videos are more than 30 minutes long, and probably Paul is just that experienced now that he can take them.
Did you see?
Not that many takes.
Asking, how do you do it? And he said, well, and the wife and the kids have gone to bed. I sit there and I record a video, and I try and do it in one take, so there's no editing needed. And Marcin, we've actually spoken about this before. The sort of beauty of this live format for us is you make a mistake, you just recover from the mistake and you continue. And I found when I have to record even a 2-minute video to camera, and I know that I can just restart it, you get picky. When you slip up, you just fall apart. You don't try and recover. So it's a very good mentality to have. It's a very nice way of making sure you can churn out a 30+ minute video in a sitting by just saying it's one take. If I screw up, it doesn't matter.
And that's exactly why it's worth appreciating, because we know how hard it is, and again it's just a good work. And Paul, of course, in his experience, is just amazing, and still it's packed with a lot of good knowledge, technical knowledge. So that's 2 in 1. It's not just the video, as you've said, or just the feature that is described. It's both. So yeah, kudos, Paul. And last but not least on our list is another set of new hires, and a new hire this time, which is the brand ambassador in the US. So that's a very proper and new name.
Brand ambassador.
Yeah.
Let's hope I'm in a fun mood when I meet Karen in a few weeks' time.
Senior marketing manager in US, based in North Carolina. So that's expansion on the US market, and definitely the another great team help to reach out to more interesting people and opportunities for Umbraco in the US. So as every time Umbraco shares the whole story, and Karen shares her story, and impressive pictures with Ice Cube. So yeah, check it out and get more familiar with Karen and everything what she's going to do for Umbraco and US market.
Yep.
And that's all. That's all from our list. Yep. Anything else to add, pirates?
No, I think so. Go check out R. That's ARRR. R. I think it's 3 R's.
3 R's, yeah. If you do 2, I think you'll get redirected.
You don't.
And if you want to see more pirates or more hacking, still you can subscribe YouTube channel here, and we'll make sure to bring more of these. And if you're hacking or pirating anything, let us know. We want to highlight you as well. And yeah, we'll be here next week highlighting another good bunch of news from Umbraco. So
we'll leave the R site up probably till the end of next week, and then it's not going to mess with it. If any marketing people, it's not going to mess with your SEO. It's like blocked. It's not. Yeah. And we're not scraping your data. It's all a bit of fun. Don't sue us. But go
no more access. No more. Another.
No more access, please.
Cool public statement announcement. Cool. Thanks, thanks, guys. Thanks, Jason, for explaining it in more details. Great
Thanks
work
for having
and
me.
great stuff. And yeah, thank you everyone for being with us today. And see you next week, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.